You're listening to Washington's Drive at 5. I'm Larry O'Connor, riding shotgun with you on this commute home in the nation's capital, and it's Friday. Well done. You did it. Last Friday in May, in fact. We hit June next week, so congratulations. Stick with us because this is going to be a very special hour. It's not just me. I'm thrilled. I'm geeked out. Everyone at WMAL is thrilled because in studio, live with us for the whole hour, is literally a living legend, George Takei. George, thanks so much for being here.
Great to be here, Larry. It's been much too long since I've last seen you.
I know. We go back a little bit, you and I, because we...
More than a little bit.
Almost 20 years now, working in the theater business in Los Angeles. We both worked on a board for East West Players, the first and foremost Asian-American theater company, which you helped found.
Yes, and we moved it from a 99-seat theater to a 240-seat theater.
Yeah, so those actors could get paid. That was a big deal. And
that's a very important thing.
And you're in town, not because you're not running for office, are you? We don't need more politicians in this
Well,
town,
I do always have that in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I know. In fact, we're going to get to your political life and your activism a little later, but you're in town for Awesome Con, which is one of these conventions where they get cosplay and celebrities and people who do sci-fi and comic books. And apparently you did a science fiction show years ago. I only know you from your great Los Angeles theater work, but you did science fiction on television? Explain this to me. I'm not aware of this.
I did a little-known science fiction show way back in the 60s, before 90% of your audience was born, and it was called Star Trek.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
You were Mr. Sulu.
And I used to go to weekend Star Trek conventions.
Yeah.
But they kept growing and growing and proliferating like tribbles. Star Trek fans would know what that is. And now they have become awesome, and we call them Awesome Cons, right here in our national capital.
It is, and it's at the convention center. It actually starts today, and it's through Sunday. You're going to be there tomorrow, right? Saturday and Sunday, down at the convention center. And are you going to be doing autographs, your book, all of that
I'll
stuff?
be talking, and I'll be posing for photos and doing the usual thing that we do at conventions.
And I understand. I got to get into this. Yeah, of course, I'm joking that I know Star Trek. I watched it. Now I watched you in reruns. I didn't see it live. But
you're much too young to. You know, next year Star Trek is going to be celebrating its 50th birthday.
I didn't realize that.
Older than you are.
Yeah, it is older than me. My gosh, did you? And the show was on the air only 3 years?
Well, at the beginning of each episode, we announced that we were boldly going on a 5-year mission, and we did battle with all sorts of alien life forms, nefarious life forms like the Klingons.
Yes.
But we discovered that the most dangerous adversaries that we could ever face were the NBC programming executives. They aborted our 5-year mission in 3.
Yeah, and no one's been able to defeat them since then, actually. You weren't the only one. But can you, 50 years later, you're still Mr. Sulu wherever you go. It was only for 3 years. And I've got to think at this point, you've got third generations of children who are watching the show and still mesmerized by it.
And Grandpa brings them to conventions.
Yeah.
And something genetic seems to happen. Their ears turn pointy, and they automatically give the Vulcan greeting sign.
Yeah, you referenced Leonard Nimoy, and it must be really something this year, losing Leonard Nimoy. And it's amazing. You couldn't find anyone to say anything negative about that man after his death. And not that people would say something bad about someone after, but there's always
He
critics.
was
There's
an
always
extraordinary man,
yeah.
A brilliant and very inventive and innovative actor. Just on the acting alone, on the set, in one of the earlier episodes, the script had Mr. Spock punching out an adversary to incapacitate him. On the set, Leonard said, "No, this isn't Spock. It's not logical." He said, why would he expend all that energy and do all that damage, breaking bones and tearing tissues, when the rational, intelligent thing to do would be, first of all, Vulcans have enormous strength, and so he would take that strength, and he would know where the vulnerable point is in a human person.
Sure.
The nerve, the neck nerve.
Right.
With his great strength, just pinch that hard, and the person would be incapacitated.
Yeah, he invented the...
He invented that.
Wow.
And the director loved it because it would cut the cost. No expensive stuntmen required.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. So he was, were all of you collaborative in the early years about sort of defining certain aspects of your personality?
We all had to, because we're going into no man's land.
Sure.
It's science fiction. And so we all had to make our own reality, but not to the extent that this very strange and alien life form that Spock was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so he was the most creative and most innovative. All I did was, determine where warp 1, 2, 3, 4 would be.
Well, but listen, if you didn't figure that out, they would have never gotten anywhere in the galaxy.
Exactly.
So thank God for Mr. Sulu.
Stuck still in a soundstage.
Awesome Con is this weekend, and I had, I just said, for the most part, I didn't hear any criticisms of Leonard Nimoy, but over the past 50 years, some of you, the cast members, have had some stories to tell about each other where you didn't always get along. And I see here Shatner's going to be at this Awesome Con, and forgive me if I'm prying, but you haven't always had the best relationship with Captain Admiral Kirk, I should say.
Well,
because we've got friends in the Secret Service. They're listening now. Do you need us to send extra security to Awesome Con to keep Team Shatner away from
always
Team Sulu?
helpful.
All right, good.
Always helpful.
We got your back.
But one of the gifts that I got from Star Trek, I think, was the fact that my work colleagues became lifelong friends.
Yes.
When Brad and I got married, our best man was Walter Koenig.
Oh, is that right?
Who played Chekhov.
Chekhov, of course.
And we asked Nichelle Nichols, who played Uhura, to be our matron of honor. But Nichelle said, I am not a matron. If Walter can be the best man, why can't I be the best lady?
There you go.
And we said, of course, Nichelle.
Oh, that's great.
You are our best lady.
You two were inseparable. I remember, many of the events that we went to and a lot of the planning that we were doing when we were working together years ago, she was always around.
She was a dear friend.
Very dear friend, yeah.
She is a dear friend. I shouldn't talk in a past tense because we've been losing so many. Yeah.